there, this is Dr. Andrea LaFountain, your own personal psychologist and theologian. I'm still on the theme of mother-daughter relationships, and today I want to talk about boundaries. There's a ton of books out now on Amazon around boundaries. You hear a lot of people talking about having to set boundaries with their parents. So this is more now for adults to adult parents. What we've been talking about previously is adults to children, that mother-daughter relationship. But now we're talking about a grown daughter with a mother, what that boundary situation might look like. Some of the books out there talk about narcissistic mothers, gaslighting, that's a familiar term today, or a common term today, the good daughter syndrome, where we strive and we can never meet up to whatever standard of perfection or goodness our mothers want of us. I want to break this down into two separate things. One where we ought to put boundaries up, and others where we ought not to put up boundaries. The books out there are very mixed. Some of the books on Amazon that I've had a look at, they're telling you put up a boundary at the first slight comment. It's ridiculous. So the mother says, "Oh, your cauliflower is soggy or softer than how I do mine." Yeah, so what? You don't have to put a boundary up there for that. Who cares whether cauliflower is soft, soggy, or firm? It doesn't really matter. So what I want to just clarify for you today is the difference between when you should put up a boundary and when you should not. I think too many of the books on Amazon, you have to be cautious. They're flipping up boundaries left, right, and center. In other words, if the person isn't perfectly aligned to you on 100% of issues, you put up a boundary. And I can guarantee you that the authors of those books, if they're doing that, they're going to end up very lonely people in not too long of a time. So we have to give some slack. But when do we give slack, and when do we actually confront a situation? So I would break it down like this. If now this is assuming that all of these places where we consider a boundary are hurtful, right? Because that's why we put up a boundary. We're protecting ourselves from further hurt. Now, some of the minor things like the broccoli's soggy, I do mine firmer. Okay, so maybe you are hurt that they didn't say, oh, the cauliflower's delicious. That to me is maybe a hurt. If let's assume you are hurt because they criticize the way you've cooked your dinner, or your mom visits and says, oh, you should have your spring bulbs planted by now, and you haven't. These are things that if you are hurt by that, you might want to just rebalance to how easily hurt you are. And a good method for that is to look with compassion on the other person. Try and see it from their point of view. They probably were not intentionally trying to hurt you when they say that the way you cook your cauliflower, is more soggy than theirs. They're probably not intentionally trying to hurt you. Or they're probably not intentionally trying to hurt you when they mention you should have your spring bulbs planted by now. Maybe they're actually giving you a helpful hint. So try and look at those lesser ones from that vantage point. Now, there is a line where we do have to put up boundaries. I would say that line comes whenever the words, the dialogue, the relationship is compromising your dignity or your identity. That's when a boundary must go up. Other things I would let slide, but when people start to impinge on your dignity, that is something that you should not tolerate. So it could be something like if you are a wife and a mother and you have a career in a certain field, and there's talk around the Thanksgiving table about what everybody's doing, and there's accolades going around, but your line of work is minimized, that's an affront to your dignity. They are taking what you work as a matter of your career, your vocation even, and not acknowledging that or belittling that. That's very tied to who we are. That's encroaching on dignity. Another example might be if you're in a room full of people and everybody is acknowledged with a greeting, a hello and a welcome, and you are not, that is ignoring your personhood. Ignoring your presence is ignoring you as a person. Now, people in those situations say, well, I didn't see you, you were stood behind somebody. Yeah, that doesn't matter. They probably did. If everybody bar you is acknowledged as welcomed and present, then that is a dignity ding. You can't tolerate that. So anything where it's your personhood, your value, your worth, your dignity, anything that encroaches on that, that's where you need to think about putting up boundaries. Now, if I was a gardener as my vocation and my 9-to-5 job was gardening, then it might be an attack on my dignity that somebody would criticize my garden. I'm like, are you saying that I'm a phony in my profession? Are you saying I can't garden, I don't know about gardening, or I should take advice from you and you're not a gardener? All of those could maybe encroach on compromising your dignity. But if you're not busy with your garden because you're so busy being a wife, a mother, a psychologist, a theologian, and somebody puts a ding to my garden, I really don't care. It's not that important to me. And I might take that as value and say, you know what, hadn't even got on my radar yet about spring bulbs, so thank you for that. You could even say, what are you doing next Saturday? How about, I order the bulbs and you help me plant them, or you plant them for me because I'm so busy. That would be great. The other thing that you can take as a value when it's hurts rather than the slashes to dignity is if you are feeling hurt on that, you can say, I wonder if I have done that to others. Again, giving them the benefit of the doubt. Hurts are usually incidental. Dings to dignity are usually intentional. That's another reason why I think the hurts, we have to have some slack there. As long as two people are not the same person, there's going to be hurts, and it goes both ways. That's why you can take a hurt to you as an opportunity for you to examine yourself and say, have I ever done that to somebody myself? That I can learn from that, maybe be more guarded myself in not putting out those hurts myself. So, maybe you can spin this as the hurts, there's a value there that you can learn compassion, you can learn how to be more nurturing in your own person. But when it's an intentional ding to dignity, then that's a different issue. And if you do put up boundaries, expect to be ignored on that. The term nowadays is gaslighted, because people don't like to be caught out at that level, because that is a much more serious attack. People do not like to think that they are guilty of that, but go ahead and have the conversation, and whether they accept it or not, more likely they won't, you can still go ahead and make your call on what you want as boundaries for your life when your dignity is compromised. God bless.